All right, y'all. Last time we left this off, I'm pretty sure we were uh, just going through the wires and finding the broken ones. So I think I found I think it was just two sets of wires that were swapped out on this one. So I had to fix those. I got those fixed. I went to check it. Nothing was working. In the diagram, there was actually another connector that these wires ran through. And I was trying to find that connector because I was able to check through the connector up to a fuse up there, and that wasn't giving me anything. I wasn't getting the reading that I was expecting because it was going through a coil, and even though it's a coil, it's not going to be OL like it was showing me. It's supposed to have some level of resistance. So I didn't pay it too much attention, but then I ended up looking at this connector right here, and it didn't look like this at first. All these wires were attached to it, and I saw, after verifying the diagram, I saw that this was one of the wires that was on it. Then I checked continuity to this wire, which is supposed to go nowhere. That's why it's still attached here, because it's not going to anything. There was labeled a total of 4 according to my chart, but I can make mistakes. But at this point, instead of going to the junkyard and trying to get a new connector, keep in mind I am doing this, free of charge for the person who I'm doing it for, so they get what they get. And ultimately, this connector is messed up, so to replace it, you'd have to do pretty much the same thing. So the only difference is you'd have a connector, pin it in, and then hook it up to the other side, which will be this side. So just pin both sides, plug them in, and then you're good. But just to prove concept and not waste my time and money to go over there and then get a connector just to see if this will fix the issue, I decided to go ahead and just attach the wires. They can be repinned later, so it's not impossible to fix it. That's something I'm capable of doing. But I saw that connector, and initially I was looking at this one, but this one, I still don't know what it goes to. I haven't seen it yet, and I haven't seen anything that goes through it. But right now, got that fixed up. Went to check it, same thing. You can still hear it sounded like the throttle body, but it wasn't the throttle body. There's a valve down here. It might be the throttle body, I'm not sure, because I'm usually used to the throttle body being up top. But it was clicking rapidly. I don't know if y'all remember that. But yeah, so that continued to happen even after I fixed these wires. And then I decided to just check for power to the fuses up there, because when I first looked at the car, the first thing I did was check fuses, because I assumed, just like I told you earlier, that the fuses were blown, or at least one fuse was blown because of the engine computer being smashed in. So I decided to check the fuses again, and this is where it comes to the value of double checking your work and making sure that you go through stuff. So after I verified all these wires, I also went through and checked the connector that I did. Needless to say, everything was perfect in there. I did do a 1-for-1 swap, which is where you take one wire out of the old connector and put it into the new connector in the exact same spot, so that way you can't make a mistake. So double checked it to make sure it was good. Sorry y'all, phone cut off on me. It's too hot out here. Got the fancy Minnie Mouse umbrella. It's my daughter's. Trying to keep the shade going. But yeah, don't judge me. But yeah, so what was I saying? So I ended up checking the fuses again, because I got to the point where we can see the engine computer, but it was saying unknown on the scan data. And I realized that I hadn't checked the fuses to see if I was even getting power up there. So I was just going through the process, through the motions of verifying that once I got everything wired up properly and fixed as best as I could, that I check up there to make sure, how can I see if we're getting power to the engine computer. And so I checked the fuses, and the clicking was still happening with the throttle body, but it was coming from the relay up there for the engine computer. And then I realized I could check the power fuses up there. So I checked the fuses, like I was saying, checked the far right 10 amp at the bottom, or close right 10 amp at the bottom, and then I checked the second from the left over here. And this one, initially the first one I checked was like 9 volts, and then I checked the other side. I checked it like 3 times. I was like, 9 volts, that don't seem right. Or I think it was 6 volts. Like, that don't seem right. So I checked the other side, and I got 12 volts. Then I checked the other fuse, and it was good. And so I checked the battery voltage to make sure we were actually getting 12 volts, and that's what we were getting. And so pulled the fuse out, and then I realized I actually had seen this fuse before, The time that I noticed it, I was done with the car. I had spent about 3 hours rewiring that big connector back there, and then I tried to get the car to turn on. The engine computer had its faults. It wasn't even showing up on there, and same stuff I showed you. What was I saying? Yeah, so I realized as soon as I saw the fuse, I was like, oh yeah, this thing had a blown fuse. But the first time I found that fuse, I was pretty much done. I was talking to the guy, I did the rewiring, I wasn't planning on looking at this car again, and I told him about the issue, and told him what I found. I told him that I found the fuse. I was expecting him to change, but he didn't. But yeah, so that one came to bite me back in the butt, because I could have replaced that fuse and I found it, but I didn't. Wasn't really interested in doing that, because at that point I was just doing extra stuff for no reason. But yeah, that's where we're at. Sitting in the hot behind sun. It is hot out here. It's not as hot as it's been the summer months, but it's still toasty. Toasty enough for my phone to be like it's too hot. So I actually got it to click one time. So at this point, I think we're good. We already checked the fluids. I checked coolant, all that stuff. I didn't really check coolant on mine. I didn't check coolant at all. I was like, this car's not gonna run for a minute. So programming is the next step to this process. I've never done this before on a Ford, so I think the most time consuming part is going to be figuring out what tools I need without spending a ton of money. I got the free subscription for the extended license for FORScan. I gotta wait 30 minutes, and around 11 o'clock is when it should be ready. And they just give you the license, and there's a process to input it on here. And then once that goes through, I'm going to run through and try to... The PCM does not have the correct VIN for the vehicle. It has a different VIN. So I'm going to try the module configuration. Module configuration is definitely one of them that I saw in the service data. So if you pull up the service data, wherever it is, I want to say it's under this one. Go here, and then module configuration. There's nothing there, right there. So there's that. But yeah, so now we got about 13 more minutes, and the procedures that we have to do is right here: module configuration, system operation, and component description. It says restore the module configuration, carry out the module configuration, restore steps of the programmable module installation procedure. Then it says general equipment for diagnostic equipment. For diagnostic equipment. So there's a scan tool that actually does this, and then reprogram the pets. So that one is pretty interesting. Don't have pets on FORScan, which is the one that I was talking about. So I didn't see pets on here. So the link updated, I just refreshed it, and then I already downloaded. Just click this and it'll download a link. And this is what it downloads. It's I don't know if you can see that, but it says FORScan license key, and so the installation instructions. All right, y'all. Just uploaded the license, starting the configuration of the PCM. And I believe this is the one that's going to set it up with the VIN for the vehicle. So right now, just walking through the process. First step says, please turn off the ignition. So I'm going to go through that real quick. Oh my gosh, let's set up. Okay. Hit okay. So the VIN, edit selected. Okay, this is pretty cool. I could literally type in any value I want, but we're going to type in the VIN for the vehicle. Just to give you a reference, with the GM vehicles, with their software, there's, I don't remember what it was called, but they had a software that would allow you to program one VIN. So that VIN was automatically selected whenever you were configuring anything. Like, you couldn't do anything like this until you had the VIN selected. And so once you did that, you would come into, I've programmed an engine computer for different GM vehicles before, and when you come to do that, it doesn't allow you to type it in. It's something that it just automatically learns the VIN that you are selected under. It just prompts you with the confirmation message to make sure. It asks you 2 questions. It says, this VIN is not the one recorded, or something like that. And it says, are you sure you want to continue? And you just pretty much continue because you know what you're doing, hopefully. If you don't know what you're doing, get a professional. But yeah, that's where we are right now. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the VIN. I believe I have it on my, I'm using it to record. So I'm going to put in the VIN and then just go from there. And there was a message on the dash. Where'd it go? But the message said starting system fault. Before I fixed the engine computer wiring harness and all that, it was saying engine fault, service engine soon, whatever the case may be. But it had a bunch of faults up there for the engine computer. We fixed that. Those messages went away. I just did this programming. We're going to go to DTC now. And go module. We're going to go set DTC. What is this one? It's scanning. Okay, so that's just telling me to set it to MS. That's where you just flip the switch down here. That little switch. On this one, there's a switch for it. And then we just hit OK. That's just so I can read all the modules on there. Okay. That's to clear the log. This one, reset DTC. Yes. All right. And then it's just setting it's gonna ask me to flip the switch a few times. I gotta do it on, off, and then back on. Let's make sure. I don't think that was all the way off. There we go. It was. Okay. And then switch it to MS CAN. Hit OK. Okay, so we're gonna see this one, incorrect response from immobilizing control module. So there was a previous code for the PCM. That one was not the right configuration. So it should be good with that. Okay. This is a freeze frame. We don't need freeze frame. This is the immobilization, or the immobilizer. So we're gonna see this one is the PATS system programming. There is a way to do the key relearn. We're gonna try that because I tried the key relearn already, but the control module wasn't set up for the car. It wasn't configured properly. So we're gonna try that real quick. And it's a really easy process. It takes about 15 seconds, and see if that will, because right now the reason I'm doing that, per the service data, we're supposed to do the PATS system parameter reset. So reset to HS, number of keys stored. So I'm going to do module initialization. Okay. Timed access PATS requires the diagnostic tester to enter into a runtime delay before security access is allowed. I wish I would have cut that on camera. So that process worked. I didn't record it. I don't think I did. But here is the end result. We were able to configure it. So we had to do that procedure for it to learn the key. And then we did the key cycle where we cycled it on, then off 4 times within 10 seconds. And then you hit a button on there, and then we turned it on. And the first thing I noticed was that message is gone for starting system fault. But now it cranks. And it drives. Well, it runs. So we're good. But yeah, that process for learning it was a lot faster than the GM vehicles. I'll say that much. And then going through it was a million times faster. So the proof is in the pudding. We got the car running. Let me go tell somebody who might be excited. But yeah. All right, y'all. So right now, I know y'all hear that. Brake lights on. So we can't shift in the gear. That's probably a shift interlock. That should be an easy fix. Probably just a fuse, honestly. Gonna talk to the owner, tell him I got it running. Just trying to get it up to temp. So right now it looks like we're up to temp. And then mother freaker. This car just started rolling away. Heck yeah. So it doesn't know it's in park. Let's go ahead and move my stuff out of the way and see what this car does. Lord. I'll show you what I'm trying to deal with. So, if you're looking at the way this is supposed to be installed, it's supposed to be a bracket inside the fender. Looks like this bracket right here. It's supposed to hold the engine computer, but as you can see, a big chunk of it's missing. So, I tell the owner about that. I'm not getting the bracket for this. He's probably like, yeah, just get the bracket and charge it to the account. I'm like, what account? But the computer, right now I have it wedged up there. Not ideal, but I just want to be able to move the car and see if it'll actually move. But yeah, the whole front end is missing. Oh Lord. But yeah, so let's see if this thing rolls like it's supposed to. Let's close the hood. Let's close the hood. We're about to document just the car actually moving. Got it driving. I didn't realize after watching the clips that I didn't show y'all the car actually driving, so we're gonna get a clip of it real quick starting up and then go from there. Alright, turns out this latch is broken. I don't know where it came from, but we're gonna go ahead and show y'all starting up. So there is an issue. I figured out the shifter. It wasn't moving. Some of y'all were probably watching the video. I was recording the cluster. I wasn't paying attention to up here, and it was actually sitting in neutral while this was in park. That would have been a dead giveaway that the car had been, the linkage had been disconnected from the transmission. And so, but yeah. I tried calling the owner after I got the car started, and I went to go try to put it in the drive to see. This is after I checked the fluids and everything, make sure I was going to overheat or damage the engine any more than it already was, or the car itself. But I called the owner, he didn't answer, and so I couldn't get the car out of park. I didn't spend too much time on it trying to figure it out, but I did go inside, and I ended up thinking about it. I'm just like, it's possible that he disconnected the linkage. Thinking to myself, just like, why would he? I didn't see a reason why he would, because there was no reason why he couldn't just hook up a battery to it and just move it out of park into neutral. As far as I saw it, there's no reason why you wouldn't be able to. Yeah, even looking at the wire harness, that harness up there doesn't go to anything that has to do with the shift interlock. And you should have been able to put the key in there and at least get power to the engine to be able to, not engine, but to the car to be able to just move it to park or neutral. So that's why I didn't think about it like that sense, but then I was like, well, the car's not moving. I thought it had something to do with the wires, but it didn't. That's why it took me a little bit, but yeah. So right now, just to show you guys real quick, we can go into different gears and reverse. All right, so we're gonna close that up for the hood and have you guys on the outside and show y'all that it does move. Cool. But yeah, real quick, just to show y'all, it's running. And then this is the setup right now. As I was saying before, the bracket is broken for the engine computer, so right now I just have it zip tied to where it won't be dragging on the floor. But yeah, one thing I want to check is the radiator fan right in there. AC coming on. Okay, you can hear the compressor kick on. There's the fan come on. Yep. And let's see what's going on. The fan works. So the radiator fan works. Coolant still good. Brake fluid, it's hard to tell, but it looks good. Oh, and I ended up finding, where is it? This connector in the diagram. There's a schematic that shows the layout of the harness in the car, and I was able to find the connector C134, which is the one that I fixed over here, somewhere down here, and this one was next to it, and these goes to the fog lights on left and right side. So that's that. And then this one, I wasn't too worried about that one. I'm pretty sure it's a fog light or a headlight connector, which we do have, so we can rectify. Fun times, fun time. Yep. So that's the connector that goes to the headlight on the left side, and the other one's on the other side. So could probably hook these up, honestly. I'm not going to. Real quick, while I have you guys, just to show you why I'm not going to drive this car too recklessly, is the door just stays open. Yeah, the door doesn't close. Pretty sure I'm already aware of that, but I'm just letting y'all know. That is why I am not going to be saying anything on a cruise. So we're about to just back it up real quick. Just driving around the building. Cruising. But yeah, we don't have any headlights on this thing. I got CVX stuck in my mind, but it's not the CVX. So the lower control arm on the driver's side is definitely twisted. But yeah, so the car does drive. Just gonna keep beeping that the door is open. There we go. Battery charger works. So we're gonna go ahead and turn this thing back around. Yeah, that's it. And for the rest of the stuff, I'm gonna talk to the owner and see what he wants to do with that stuff. I'm under the impression that he wanted this car driven back over there. Obviously, I mean, if you can, why not? I'm not going to drive this car in this configuration or condition, and I'm not going to replace anything in the door. And I'm not going to do the CV axle. I did the wiring. I should have not had him drop the car over here. I should have had him drop it off at the other place. So that way it's his problem. Because right now it's kind of my problem. I got to get this car out of here. Yeah, it's been fun. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. And then hopefully there's more to come. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. Go ahead and roll these windows up. Low tire pressure. I was only saying that. Where is the tire? I just realized there's a whole wheel. It's probably destroyed. The wheel is probably destroyed. I just realized the wheel is just gone. There's a donut on the driver's side. But yeah, that's where we are.